Cancer. Hey, thanks for dropping in with me. We are here to tap into your collective energy and see how you are going to be affected during this significant Pluto retrograde cycle that got kicked off in the sign of Aquarius on May 2nd and will be traveling backwards in slow motion. Pretty much, it's a slow moving retrograde until it eventually ends up in Capricorn, where it will go direct on October 11th. Now, you are really going to be feeling this, and I have to say that because you are starting this journey with the deep dive into Pluto's terrain in your 8th house, okay? So that is kind of Pluto's home. You're really going to be dealing with a lot of themes around the heavy stuff. So where you've dealt with addiction in your life, and these themes have been front and center. These are things that you will be grappling with, where you're struggling to let go of things that you know are really having a destructive influence on your life. You may find a difficult time grappling with that. Integrating and understanding how these patterns of behavior got in place. This can also be really intense trauma healing. This can be dealing with intimacy issues. This can be looking into the taboo as well. Okay, when we're looking into the shadow terrain, it's not just things that are heavy, but can also be things that we just have concealed. So I also see you diving into the mysteries a bit more as well. Some of you will be delving into the occult mysteries, the occult arts. You may be fascinated to explore alchemy on a deeper level. We know that you are entering, though, a very powerful gateway of transformation with this process kicking off in your 8th house. And as we look at this and it progresses, we're also looking at this piece of rebellion with Pluto starting that retrograde motion in Aquarius. So I do see you kind of like giving the finger to the shoulds, you know, and deciding that you're really going to define your life on your own terms. And this might mean you have to rebel against family in some cases, I have to say, against society's standards, right? So I really see you embodying this rebellious energy. One could even say this is a bit of adopting that Lilith energy to a certain extent. Lilith came in for another one of the signs. I wish I could remember. It's one of the ones I did, I think, just the other day. Oh gosh, was that, did it come in for Taurus? It might have come in for Taurus. You could be dealing with a Taurus for that energy to come in, okay? But I do feel like you're really embodying those themes. You may even be dealing with a similar storyline, you know? Maybe somebody feels like you got a little too big for your britches, and then you were sort of like exiled because you wouldn't follow the status quo. Maybe you've always felt like a little bit outside the loop, a little bit different from everybody. These themes coming in. So this is a heavy transformational time for you, because we know also that that 8th house, which is Scorpio's house, is also very much about the whole cycles of life too. So you may be dealing with some major life transitions during this retrograde period. You may be reviewing your life. You may be reviewing times you've shared with another. This can be because you're going through a major ending. This could be because the loved one's transitioning. This could be because you are ending a relationship. There's a big identity shift you're going through because you're closing a major chapter in your life. This could be even radically changing your beliefs. This can be a total paradigm shift, okay? So I don't feel like you're going to emerge from this cycle the same way you went in, but whatever happens here, I feel like it really changes your relationships. And that's because it continues to do its backward motion in Capricorn. And once it enters its backward motion there, you'll be doing a review of your romantic relationships, your unions. You'll also be kind of looking at those who have opposed you, because then you are going to be dealing with that Libra 7th house, and Libra is in the South Node. So again, super significant cycle here for you with this Pluto retrograde. It's really going to pack a punch for you. Your life is going to be very different. It's got like Phoenix rising vibes, okay? So I do see you looking at your love relationships of the past and redefining what that looks like for you in the future. Some of you may enter into like a radical healing process with somebody that you were romantically involved with in the past. There's a real deep, deep, profound shift happening here, and it's happening on the soul level. This is really closing a circle, ending a cycle, and it opens up the way for a new kind of reality to emerge for you when we have Pluto going direct in Capricorn on October 11th. I feel like then there is a possibility of truly coming into alignment with somebody very special, and in a different way than you have been able to before. And where you needed to kind of like settle the score with those who have opposed you in the past, I feel like your transformation will speak for itself. It's almost like say less. You know what I'm saying? The proof is in the pudding. You're not who you used to be. And that's going to be evident by the time you reach fall. All right, so we're going to dive right into this. This is for any significant Cancer placement. Also, if you have a prominent placement in the 4th house, or if you're a Capricorn rising, that makes you a Cancer descendant, and you may find resonance with these messages. So let's look at your 8th house now, because this is the initiation for you. If you're doing a Pluto, retrograde in the 8th house, you are definitely going through a doorway of transformation. You are in a process of initiation. You are going to come out of this much different than how you are now. That's a fact. Oh, yes, you're doing the deep dive. Look at that. Look at that. Queen of Cups. This is you. All right. There's certain things you have to discover in the subconscious. Notice how the cup has a cover on it. And the only way that you can really arrive at, it's interesting. It's giving me like Amrita vibes, to be honest with you. It's really interesting. The nectar of life. There's life that's found through doing this deep dive. It's like you have to dive really deep to get down to your essence. I also feel like you're doing the deep dive into your intuition. I feel like you're going to be a lot more sensory. I think you're going to start to really pick things up like on a kinetic level. You know what I'm saying? I feel like your clairsentience will really pick up. You're going to have more of those sort of like scorpion senses activated. All right. This may be very vulnerable territory for you. You might also find yourself at times being easy to sort of like be ready to sort of like snap back or be impulsive in defending yourself. I think that's because, scorpions are able to really feel the vibrations of what's happening subterraneanly. They're extremely sensitive. So I feel like you're going to be very sensitive at this time. I think you're going to be able to feel and sense undercurrents in situations, in your connections, and just in your environment, maybe even collectively. I am picking up this piece about the intuition really being activated. Yeah, you can feel it. You can feel it before it's coming. With the Page of Swords, I got that. It's like your other sensory inputs are really going to be strengthened, heightened during this time. I feel this. And you're sort of able to like tap the pulse of what's going to be coming down the pike before anybody even sees it. And because of this, I have to say, it may make you feel exiled at times. That might be how your journey is going to mirror Lilith's in a sense, just in the respect that you're going to feel like nobody really understands you, or what you're trying to say, or what you're trying to communicate, or what you see being a potential pitfall is something that others can't even begin to grasp, because you're picking it up. Like, you're already picking it up energetically. Like, you know how this is going to go down. You already feel what's happening here. You're able to get the subtext of what's being said, and everybody else is kind of missing the plot here. I feel that. This is also you sensing that something's coming, and I just saw like a lightning bolt in my mind's eye. And for me, a lightning bolt is a symbol of getting downloads, and I already know that's coming in for you. I do feel like you're really a conduit right now. But it's more than that. I think you do feel that there's a particular tower moment coming. You know it. It's almost like, it's interesting. It's like you're doing this deep dive, but it's almost like you're doing the deep dive so you can already be where all the action's going down. It's like you're not wanting to avoid this tower. It's more like you crave the tower. You crave the tower because you feel it coming, and you felt it coming for so long that it's almost like one of these things that's like, I just need the validation. I just need the validation because I felt it. I know it's coming. I sense it. So you just need that moment of everything being electrified by that charge of this thing touching down like a bolt out of the blue. You know, it's that moment when it's as above, so below. It's like you already picked it up. You know, you don't need a weatherman to know which way the wind blows. It's that kind of thing. Like, you're a messenger. This is interesting. You're a messenger. You're like a weather vane, you know? And you want to be down there where you can absorb the shock. There's something about that. There's something about that. You don't want to avoid it. You want to be right in the thick of it. You know that it's the sign. You know, it's the sign of like your new chapter opening. You know, it's the sign of you entering the rebirth cycle. You know, it's the sign of your rise. I think you're going to uproot a lot of things that have sabotaged you in the past as you're moving through this initial phase. And I think what you're going to recognize as sabotaging influences, ooh, and the lights out there, okay? Let's turn the light on. I think what you're going to recognize is that the saboteurs are those externalized voices, opinions, perspectives that have been placed on you by those around you. And you're really wanting to break free of this. You're wanting to have full authority when it comes to determining the steps you take in your life, the choices you make, what direction you want to head in. I also feel like there's somebody that ties into this, and it could be somebody you've kind of been keeping your eye on. We have the King of Swords here, strong Aquarian energy, all right? But I also feel this has something to do with a past picture in your love story, and a person that maybe was cold, maybe somebody who cut you off in a way that left you with a lot of unanswered questions. This could be somebody that you used to feel really close to, and now you feel like there's all this distance. You're trying to make sense of that. You might be even trying to figure out what's going on with somebody because you feel like you can't get through to them, or they can't get through to you. You don't understand what they're saying to you. It doesn't make sense to you. There's something here that you've really been kind of like keeping your eye on, I feel. And I also feel it's something you've been tracking within yourself. And again, remember, I talked about this tower moment, right? This may be the Tower moment that you're dealing with here, because it's like you're readying yourself for it. Now, this is interesting, but is it real? Or is it an echo? Is it an echo of the past? Is somebody's imprint so deeply forged on your soul, you know what I mean, that you've taken on that energy and you're mistaking it for your own? This could be a case that there's like a lot of energetic attachment. This could be a case where there are heading into a little sensitive territory here, okay? There could be some patterns of trauma here that you're working through. This could be PTSD type neural loops, you know, this sort of circuitous experience that keeps you on high alert. You may have felt like at times your voice has been very silenced in a situation, or maybe this person often gave you the silent treatment, or maybe they've just completely cut you off cold, completely detached. You could have dealt with a situation in matters of the heart, or even with an authority figure. This could be a parental figure. This could be anybody who played a significant role in your life where you really feel like it was an unhealthy connection and it was an abusive connection. I got like all this silencing energy coming in here. I feel like in some way you didn't have a voice in this dynamic. And I also feel like there's a lot you've held inside. And maybe you held this inside because of reactions you thought you would get. Maybe you were used to this person just like coming at you out of nowhere and firing off with a bunch of cutting words. I mean, I think you really like tried to, you know, stay in it for a long time, but now you're kind of like you're worse for the wear. This has, you know, the feeling of somebody just being really tired. I think whatever this relationship is, it's something that really took you to some heavy places, and you still feel it. Even if it's no longer there, even if you're no longer in contact with this person, I feel like you still feel them. You still feel their energy. Maybe you even feel like you share that kind of connection. I mean, we did have all of this like clairsentience come in, your senses being really heightened, being able to feel things before they arrive on the scene. So you could be very sensitive energetically. Maybe you two share that. Maybe you even share almost like a telepathic kind of connection. But there's almost this piece here about maybe you're tired of having this person's energy in your space. I'm feeling that. Like maybe you're feeling worn out. Maybe you're feeling anxious. Maybe you're just feeling very depleted. And you're tired of defending your energetic space as well. You're tired of feeling like your boundaries are being violated. And that may sound strange to some people if they're like, yeah, but I haven't been around that person in forever. Like I haven't even talked to them. But I feel like somebody here still feels this person, even if they're not here. I'm bringing it in because it's coming in. Some of you feel that you're actually dealing with an energy that isn't here any longer, like on this earthly plane. There's something here about really needing to draw a line and cut off some kind of energetic attachment. There's a need to also really embody your own energy and to set down boundaries. And I think you're looking at this, and I think you're understanding this. And where that is coming through for somebody, it's not for everybody, all right? But I want to bring it in because it is coming in. Where you have been feeling an energy in your living space, let's say, and you're already aware of this. Maybe you even have skills. Maybe you have mediumship skills. Maybe you've always been very sensitive to other energies. You've always been able to pick that up, and this is something familiar to you. But I feel like this is an energy that maybe in one way, shape, or form you've almost become sort of enmeshed with here. Okay. I recommend doing a good house clearing, house cleansing, reinforcing your boundaries. And where you had blocked somebody before, let's say blocked somebody online, getting back to, those who are still with us, okay? You may need to reinforce your boundaries if you lifted them. Like maybe you got curious or something, and so you lifted the blocks. I mean, there's this thing where it's like, our boundaries can only be infiltrated if we form an energetic agreement with the other, okay? If you have really firm boundaries, nobody can cross those. The only way somebody can really come into our space and become enmeshed with our energy like that is if we're creating some kind of invitation. So if you're saying, I want to lay down these boundaries, and then yet, you put blocks in online and then you lift the blocks and you're kind of checking out what's going on their social media or whatever, then, that's making an energetic agreement. It's sort of like courting the energy or inviting the energy in. And I feel like this is the source of depletion. So I feel like a good cleansing would be very helpful in this case. You could also feel like this individual, you may have put the blocks down, but you're like, why do I still feel like they're watching my stuff, You may even feel like somebody might have fake accounts online or something like this. I do feel like these are all themes, though, that are coming in around a core issue for you. It relates to somebody you were involved with in the past. Yeah, this is like communication coming through. I feel like you feel there's a communication that's going to be coming in from this person. And I think you're right. It's not here yet, though. It'll be a couple months down the line, probably more deeper into like Leo season. I see a shift in this situation, but see, I told you, it's like you already feel it, okay? You already feel the energy. And the more that you lay down your boundaries, the more this energy will advance. I feel that, in terms of like, the Ghostbuster vibes, for those of you that does ding for, just, do a good house clearing, okay? Just smoke cleanse the house, right? Bring in some frankincense and myrrh. I find that's very helpful. You could bring in some Florida water too. It's always nice, especially to use as like a floor wash, okay? You could also do angelica root, a little angelica root in each of the corners of every room in the house. That's very beneficial too. And take a cleansing bath. You can do a simple cleansing bath for yourself with steeped bay leaf. You can even do that in the shower, pour over of your crown. It's great. Very good for clearing out energy, but also inviting blessing energy in here. This coming in for somebody, I mean, some of you have an ex and they are very adept at the occult arts. You know that they work on this level. You may have felt maybe they were, kind of messing with your energy in that way. Same thing applies. Just do a good cleansing and reinforce your boundaries and make sure your blocks are in place on a practical level in day-to-day reality, okay? Let's dive deeper into this, Cancer. Oh, already intriguing. Let me tell you, the signs that have been coming in tonight have been giving me really interesting downloads. Yes, okay? You're not taking any of this past stuff forward with you, though. This is what I want to highlight here, right? Because with this Nine of Wands, this can be a way that we sort of create a cross condition for ourselves where we start thinking everything's working against us or there's just more of the same up ahead. So we get the other shoe's going to drop syndrome. And I feel like this is where you're at. But it's because your energy is still being drained by this past influence. Once you really call your energy back, reinforce your boundaries, and you do some cleansing, you're going to feel more embodied and more in your essence. And this is going to have you feeling stronger, where you're not going to feel like you're on guard all the time. You're not going to be in this overly protective mode, and you're not going to be in this place where you're going to just be expecting more of the same. Quite different, really. And I don't see more of this up ahead, though I do think that you're going to have to face off with this character on one level or another. Now, for some of you, you're dealing with facing off with an energy on the ether, okay? And you're clearing it out and you're being firm and you're like, that's that. We're not doing this anymore. We're not doing this dance. Or, you know, you're clearing out an energy from your home that just doesn't feel harmonious. It doesn't feel hospitable, all right? For others of you, you're actually facing off with this past person and you're standing in your power. I do feel like as you take your power back, you're going to see, you know, where you're dealing with an ex, a past person, this person is going to start kind of asserting their presence. And I think you do feel it coming. But I know that where you're going is brand new. And I say that because as the energy continues to travel retrograde, it's eventually going to be in Capricorn. And when it goes into Capricorn, it's going to be in that 7th house. And so this might be the time that you really start to deal with a past character, maybe actually entering into some kind of mediation process in some cases. In other cases, it's some kind of therapeutic process or some kind of communication that allows there to be an integration of the experiences. Some of you may be entering into therapy around this. Maybe that's where the communication is coming in from. I do feel like where it's needed will become very clear for you on June 2nd when there is Jupiter in Gemini and it forms a harmonious trine with Pluto. And something at that point will be highlighted for you. You'll finally understand. You'll say, aha, the devil's in the details. And now I got this devil by the tail. I know what this is. I know what I need to really pull up from the root here. I know what I need to really release, let go, cleanse away. I understand what's been tripping me up here. It's like a booby trap, but you'll find out where it is. And so you don't have to actually detonate it. You know what I'm saying? It's like you could avoid stepping in that altogether. I feel like it's one of those moments. And from there, you'll start to kind of plan your next steps and your next action to take, what that looks like, and how to actually start to move beyond this energy. Then on July 21st, there's Mars trine Pluto. And I feel like just as you start to enter Leo season, that's when the action kicks off. And in fact, it may be when you finally, you know, face off with this energy and you put down some pretty firm boundaries. And in some cases, as the energy progresses, you actually enter into a more in-depth healing process. You may be dealing with healing with that individual, all right? But there's movement that happens here. You're not stuck. You're not stuck like holding yourself in a holding pattern because you're preparing for more to kind of come at you. You're moving beyond it, which is really good. What do we got here? Crossing energy. Oh, yeah. But before you can rise as the Empress, first you have to do the deep dive here. This is like Persephone's dive into the underworld. And so you can really sort of like shed these veils of illusion to really see yourself as you are. It's how you arrive at your empowerment. And I feel like these veils, you know, it's like that dance of the 7 veils where you're shedding each layer of illusion. And I don't know, it's very interesting. This is kind of coming through. You may even want to play with that creatively. For those of you who are inspired in such a way, creativity can be very cathartic. And this may be something you want to experiment with. You know, people often look at ritual, right? And they look at it only in terms of, oh, well, in order to do ritual, you have to be a witch or you have to be involved in the occult. And that's not so. I mean, going to a church and lighting a votive candle and saying a prayer is a type of ritual. Going to the ocean and releasing flowers to the sea in memory of a time in your life, a person in your life, that's a ritual. We have all kinds of rituals to mark the very significant transitions in our life. And I feel like this is such a time when you need this, because what you're feeling and what's coming to a close here, it goes so much more beyond what words can really express. And there's something that can be very cathartic about almost acting out that process. You might want to get yourself 7 veils, you know, 7 veils, or you can get 7 scarves, you know, and you can put on some music and have each scarf represent an illusion you're shedding. Maybe it's a ritual that dances with you through this phase, because you might discover new things to shed, new illusions to shed. But that's what the Dance of the 7 Veils was about. It was about shedding each layer of illusion until you arrive at that place just completely naked in your vulnerability as you are, as you came into this world, and as you'll leave this world too. So there are these themes running very strongly. Some of you are acting as doulas, or you're acting as caregivers for somebody who is going through the process of letting go, releasing this life. It's a very sacred journey. And there's something about this. This might be work you have explored doing. You might be fascinated to get into this type of work, supporting people through those initiatory gateways. It's certainly an initiatory gateway you are heading through, right? And a lot of this has to do with you really recovering your core essence, the core essence of who you are. Because I do feel somebody back there lied to you. They put something on you that was not yours to hold. And it was something that was supposed to make you feel like you were less than, or you weren't good enough, or you somehow weren't up to snuff. And they diminished your value and perhaps even your dignity. And this is about you really reclaiming your sovereignty. Some of you internalize this from the mother, okay? Or it has something to do with your childhood that's really stuck with you. Okay. It's somebody who just, maybe even with your creativity, maybe that's why the creative piece came in. Maybe somebody really silenced your creative expression. Maybe you've always been an artist, or you've always had this beautiful creativity that wanted to flow through you, but somebody really tamped that down, because no, you just don't do that. That's a wasted pursuit. Like, this person was very like clear cut, logical. They like shot down your dreams, right? Yeah, creativity, it's coming through very strongly as being a great support to you at this time. And don't judge what you create, right? What you create is beautiful. Yeah, it's interesting. There's this piece about feeling like you've been cut out in some way, like you've been left out. This could be of any kind of, you know, dynamic that's sort of like an institutionalized like dynamic, like a family dynamic, or maybe, you know, you've never been married. You always wanted to get married, but you've never been married. You've always been single, okay? Maybe you are from a family that has really traditional values, you know, and you have different beliefs, or you feel differently about things. This could have been teachers you had in school that didn't see your intelligence, that didn't see the gifts that you possess, that didn't understand your unique perspective, your way of seeing things. Right? I think you are rebelling against this, and you're recovering your own voice, and you truly are on the journey of the rebel, I have to say. Especially with the beginning in the 8th house, this retrograde motion, and with Pluto retrograding in Aquarius. This is you like down with the man, like for real. You are an anarchist in the name of all that's love and true. You know what I'm saying? All that's all that's true. You may be a bit of a revolutionary type too. You could very well be somebody who's anti-establishment. You don't see things the way others do. Maybe you've always had an issue with belonging. You never felt like you really fit. You always felt like they screwed up the orders, man, when they sent me to this planet, because I don't get humanity. You see things differently. Maybe you have an important message to share. Maybe there is a gift in that box of darkness as you do Pandora's deep dive and you take off the lid of that box and you see what's inside, everything you've contained and held within you. I almost feel like this is, you leading a charge, okay, to overthrow these, figures that have told you who you have to be, how you have to show up in the world. And you very well could have a really important message to share. And some of you maybe need to start writing, okay? So it's interesting because I feel like you're going through a healing process and you're tying up a lot of heavy stuff. But at the same time, it feels so creative to me. And it's interesting that it also ends up in your house of love and marriage, that house of Libra. But I think of the house of Libra, and it's also the place of love and war. So it's like before you can get to that place of unity, you have to first heal the sense of division within yourself. And I feel like that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. You're coming into full ownership of yourself. I can also see this almost as like the sacred union, the conjuncto, where you're unifying yourself. Very interesting. I do see you rising up and activating your North Node. I do. I think whatever happens here and the action that you take in Leo season after that Mars trine Pluto comes in on the 21st of July, I figure it being a clear sign that is going to open up your new road. I do see you heading off on a new adventure. I don't see you taking all the baggage forward with you, where you used to feel really weighed down by all this stuff that you've been holding in. It's like there's a new freedom here. And you're kind of ignoring those who are sort of like barking at you. You're ignoring the orders that they're barking at you. You're ignoring their cautions. It's like you know a lot. You've already seen a lot. I mean, you don't do the deep dive in the 8th house without already having a pretty good idea of what you're dealing with here, okay? And I feel like you're just ready to look up. You're tired of looking back at the past. You're tired of being down underground in all this subterranean terrain. You're ready to come back to life and enter the light. You're ready to turn your face toward the sky and to feel that sense of enthusiasm of what it means to finally just like reclaim yourself, your life, and your storyline where you get to be the main character there. And I do see it opening up for you. It's really beautiful, right? Come October 11th, when the energy goes direct, things are going to look very different for you. And going back just to the beginning there, where you have had an energy in your home, where some of you think you got a little like paranormal action going on there, I do feel like you're going to be able to help that character cross over, all right? It's just about releasing the energy. Some of you, you live on sacred land, okay? Native land, for those of you in the States. Look into this. Look into the land you're living on, because you might need to make some offerings to the land, okay, to calm this energy. That just kind of coming in there, okay? Now, let me see what's behind the Fool here. Yeah, look right behind that. There's the Emperor, okay? Yes, I think that that will really solidify things, okay? So I feel like, the masculine aspect of you is very much like, already seated in its power. Like you're very much in a place of like knowing what needs to be done and feeling a certain sense of power as far as making executive decisions. And you do come off very strong. I don't think people look at you and think like you're a lilting flower. You know, they see your strength. You could have a strong Taurus placement in your chart or an Aries placement. It's possible you could be dealing with a Taurus or an Aries. Got a couple Aries significators here. Got lots of Taurus here, actually, I have to say. Okay. If you do have Taurus anywhere in your chart, the fixed sign energies are really feeling this cycle. So you could really be coming up against some resistance in that regard. Or you're dealing with a Taurus who's really giving you a lot of pushback. And oh, Ted just said yes, said yes to that. So if you are, okay, maybe this can give you some insight into where they're coming from. You know, you too see things differently. I do feel like you're dealing with a situation where it's been really stuck, and there is this piece about, you know, stubbornness is kind of keeping things in a holding pattern here. And what's needed is more of this. You know, the Empress is just, you know, very open, and she's ready to receive, and she gives birth to new beginnings, and everything grows, you know, everything grows around her. Everything is rich and beautiful and lush, and it's verdant land. And, you know, this is just, it's such a beautiful place to be. It's that beautiful side of the Venus energy. It's the love in the Venus energy. When it's in reverse, it's a little bit more in its war vibes, man. And we also have to remember too, you know, again, Libra is the house of open enemies. So you could feel like you're dealing with somebody who is playing the role of nemesis on your path. Maybe it's a Taurus, okay? And you feel like, you know, you just are like facing off with this person, that they're a real challenger here. But there's something that's being transformed here. And again, it goes back to boundaries. I mean, you don't have to face off with anybody. You draw your boundary lines. You decide what you let into your space, what you engage with. And there really is something about this coming through that you have to take back your power from others that you've invested with that power. You know, it's as simple as just calling your power back. And that's what you're going to learn about during this cycle. You're going to understand how that got to be there, how you got to be that way. You know what I'm saying? And I just see you doing the work. I do. And it looks really good. I don't think you're resisting it at all. Like you're diving in head first to it. You're like, let's just do it. You know, the sooner we get through it, I get to the good stuff, man. So I want to see this. I want to know a little bit more about what comes in for Cancer. Once the Pluto energy goes direct, where are they off to with this full energy? Let me help fuel that enthusiasm a little bit, because I do feel like you're overcoming something here, and it opens up the road for you, and you get a brand new chapter. It's like a brand new lease coming in here, man. You know, everything will be different for sure. You might travel. Okay, travel might be part of this. Okay, there is something that you need to release here. All right, it is the past, it is a disappointment, and it's something that I feel like you've done a lot of grieving around, but nobody can tell you how long your grieving process takes. And some of you, if you are dealing with somebody who is transitioning, because that theme did come in for some of you, you know, be patient with yourself. Be patient with yourself as you're releasing, as you're letting go. But, you know, once this is done and you give it its proper time and its space and the honor it deserves, because I do feel this is a sacred process for you. I do. There is this alignment on the other side of it for you. And I think that's what sets off your new adventure, right? 44 on the clock. You definitely have this being orchestrated by the divine, okay? This is going to come in very synchronistically for you. Look at this. Fire sign energy. I feel like in Leo season, you may be a Cancer, Leo, cusper. But I do feel like you're getting your power back. You're getting your fire back and your fire forward. And you're going to blaze a trail. And it's going to be so good. Let me tell you. You're going to feel like back in your element again. So what's coming in here when energy goes direct? Look at that. Ace of Pentacles. You're getting an opportunity for a new beginning. And if you take the opportunity, it will grow. Do you see the abundance here? These fields aren't fallow. This is a legitimate opportunity that comes in for you. And you had to really stand your ground to gain this opportunity. And do you see, this is worth standing for, right? It's your birthright. It's what's meant for you. This is your new beginning. It's your new chapter. It's everything you've worked so hard for. But there is something that needs to close here first. So this is what you're moving into initially. That's what that Aquarian energy is all about. And there could be a fixed sign involved in this process. There could be a Taurus involved. Taurus came through really strongly here. There could be an Aquarius involved. That also came in quite strong. Scorpio, right? Definitely for you. You're going to be traveling through Scorpio's house with this energy. And we got Leo there too, okay? But there's success ensured on the other side of this, and the road does open. There is a way forward. It's the 0 point, and it brings you this moment of celebration and victory, and this is worth taking a stand for. But I do feel like there are others who would oppose you, and I also feel that it's important to take your energy back from focusing on the others who might oppose this, and instead, with the energy being internal as we move through the retrograde energy, that you look at the mirror within yourself and understand what are the things in me that keep opposing this, that means so much to me. These can be fears that you have, or insecurities you have, or excuses you use, or even procrastination, okay? So there's something to look at here, because when we're moving through Pluto retrograde, it's all about what's going down inside. It's not about what they're doing. It isn't. That doesn't mean you're not going to have to act, you know, in accordance with what's coming at you from the outside world. But the main focus is about you, how you're experiencing it, how you're processing things, your role in it. And that's what's going to be truly empowering for you. I do see you working with it. And really defending this new beginning for you. This is what you've been waiting for. Yes, yes, yes. See, and this is what it's about. You're cutting off the suffering that's in connection to the past. You're finally drawing a line under the past. You're recognizing where it's time to just let it go, because you've already dealt with the worst of the worst here, all right? I see that. You went through something that was very painful, and it's been a long time sitting in this space and processing this pain. And for a lot of you, this is old. This is old, okay? This is childhood trauma. This is trauma around a soulmate. You know, sometimes our soulmates come to teach us the most painful lessons. It doesn't mean that the love wasn't real. The love was very real, but there's something here that has kept you in a loop where you've just had to have pain as your partner for too long, and now you need to divorce yourself from the pain. And I see you doing that. You're going to transform this energy with that Queen of Swords there, right? You're drawing a line under the past. This is you acting in alignment with your truth and your integrity, what you arrive at through doing this integrative healing work. And you finally get to put this behind you, and you get to live in your truth and your integrity. And it earns you this beautiful new beginning. I mean, to the tune of the Ace of Pentacles to the Fool, to the Emperor, that's the activation of your destiny. It's like you're going places. You're not stuck anymore. 49:44 on the clock. That's 13:44. 13 is a power number. Hail Freya. It's associated with Freya's day, okay? If you can't lay them, slay them, man. Okay, so where something went south in relation to a lover, and you just know that it's the same old, same old. It's going to be a broken record, and where you finally need to just release that and cut that cord. I see you doing it. I see you pulling it out from the root. You're like, we're done. We're done doing this dance, man. And it's the thing that is needed, and it sets you off on a bold new journey, and everything opens up for you from there. And there's love there too. There's love there with somebody who can greet you in the space of who you're becoming now. And it's actually really beautiful. All right, one more round here. Anything else? Anything else about this new beginning? Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Now, you're going to have to trust what you learn from your time in the dark there. You're going to have to be a little brave moving forward, but I do see you balancing those karmic scales in the Libra South Node. I do see you moving on up. And this is what you're entering into right now. You're just in this process of holding space for the grief, but you know that this is temporary, okay? There's times when we grieve, and then there's times when we celebrate, and you're going to find yourself on the opposite side of that wheel, but you're definitely going through a big release and closure right now. And honestly, I feel like it's stuff that was held over from when Scorpio was in the South Node that you still are holding on to. So you're just taking this work a little deeper. And for those of you, since you are, starting this journey through Scorpio's house, we can get real esoteric with this. Some of you actually are releasing, generational trauma, and you're releasing trauma that's been carried over from many incarnations. Okay, so this is like getting a complete reset. It's got big rebirth energy here, right? Big rebirth energy. And it looks good. It looks good. There's a lot of wisdom you're going to gain here. A lot of wisdom. You're definitely on the alchemist journey. Let me do a cut of the deck, and then I'll get you an overarching theme card. Yeah. And there you are, upright. I love it. I love it. So you take all of that mana you get from that deep dive and you bring it up with you, and you know it's precious. So you treasure it, you treasure it. And you will use it wisely. You're not going to fall for illusions like you have in the past. You're moving away from that energy. You're moving away from that energy. You're no longer going to invest in things that disappoint you. And you're okay with releasing that. And it's because you finally are able to let go that the illumination comes in. And again, that's what lights your fire. That's what lights your fire. It's beautiful energy. And with that, you take the action and you finally walk away from everything that you had invested so much in. And what you had invested in was the suffering, was the loss, was the grief. And there you are with that hermit, energy there. There you are following the path of heart. And it's going to lead to your fruition. And it does. Ace of Wands in the fall. Look at this. This is beautiful. You got a real powerful new beginning coming for you in the fall. It's like a start of a completely new life for you. Yep. You're not going to be sabotaged anymore. No more stealing time, because all of this blessing is going to pour into you. Look at that. It's so beautiful. This is a cleansing. This is a healing. This is a renewal. This is a balancing out. And there's the 2 cups. So you definitely are being guided. Sagittarian energy here. There is something you're alchemizing here, and it leads to the fulfillment of your North Node. This is beautiful. This is legacy energy. This is also healing in a family. This is healing in a home. This is prosperity, abundance. It's beautiful energy. And right behind that, you got your Ace of Pentacles. So, this looks good. It's heavy getting there. I'm not going to lie, right? I'm not going to lead you astray. This is a deep dive, man. But what you get on the other side, so worth it. See, it's a deep dive. It might look a little scary. The past is hovering behind you there. But with this black cat, this is fortune meets opportunity, and you're going to learn so much. And I feel like writing is really coming in here. You might have a message to share. You might have a message to share. It's come through a few times here, okay? So there's something about your experiences that really can benefit others. Like something you have to share here can be a benefit to others. So where your voice wasn't valued before, you know, maybe it's about you sharing your voice on your terms and understanding that your words are worth their weight in gold, man. Okay, so there's something here. Ooh, I just got shivers with that. I did. I got sentience around that. Maybe that is your Ace of Pentacles. Oh, I think so. I got so much sentience around that right now. Okay, I'm just delivering the message. Okay, it's something you might want to explore. It might have a greater effect on your direction in life than you know right now. Yeah, let's Skull of Stars. Infinite possibilities. I love this. Okay, so in the ending, it's really just the inception point of the potential for so many new beginnings. I do feel like you're also going to be coming into greater power, so really be mindful of what you're calling in. Really be mindful of what you're putting your focus on, your attention on, because I feel like your manifestation powers are going to pick up. And with that, we have the veil, the future. Isn't that wild? We brought in the dance of the 7 veils. So I do encourage you to do this. It's also this piece about don't assume that the future contains more of the same. It's time to really understand that anything's possible. There's infinite possibilities, and this will be illuminated for you. The thing is right now you can't see it because you have blind spots, but that's why you're doing that deep dive in the dark to understand what has been obscuring your vision. And a lot of times if we've been in a process where our thoughts are really circuitous or we're all caught up in our head, we can really be blocked from bringing our visions to life, because in order to bring our visions to life, we have to take it from the head down into the heart and the soul, you know, into that, you know, creative center within us. And from there, we're able to birth the new way forward. So I do feel like there is something that's illuminated here for you that lights the way forward. You do find a source of light within the darkness that guides you through. And yes, there's risk, okay? There is risk, but you've learned your lessons well. There's also great reward on the other side of this. And there's sweetness here too. So you are playing a little bit with these taboos, with the seduction and things that tempt us but lead us down a garden path. And this is about you coming into that place of inner knowing and wisdom where you really trust yourself and your own inner authority. And as long as you do that and you recover the wisdom of your own voice, you can't go wrong.